Today I'm going to go over my top 5 running shoes of 2018. And no, they're not all Nike. But 2018 was a fantastic year for running. It was the year that I had called early on was going to be the year you spent the most you've ever spent on running shoes. And that was certainly the case for me. Going back through my list of shoes that I reviewed for the year, I had some really great ones, some that were not so great, but overall just a fantastic year for running. Something I've been telling people all year long is it's a fantastic time to be a runner, and this year's shoes certainly helped prove that it was. So I thought in terms of going over my list, I wanted to keep it short. I wanted to keep it to 5, so that way I had to make some tough choices, some controversial choices. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go over my number 1 and 2 shoes right off the bat because I don't think those are that controversial, at least not for me, and somewhat obvious choices if you've been following this channel and kind of know where I'm coming from. My number 1 shoe for 2018 is going to be the Nike Vaporfly 4%. I'm going to include both the Flyknit version and the Vast Gray version that I ran. I ran in both versions this year. The Vast Gray is from the 2017 version of the Vaporfly, or the version 1, but that specific color wasn't released till 2018, so I'm going to count it. But either way, the Vaporfly is an absolutely amazing shoe. Everyone's heard of it at this point. Everyone who's running it seems to love it, except for maybe Jamie. I don't know why he doesn't love this shoe. I love the shoe. And I had a fantastic time running in it. Every time I ran in the shoe, I had a fantastic race. I couldn't recommend it any higher. For me, if I'm running a marathon, that's the shoe that I'm going to pick without a second thought. An easy choice. Number 2 is a very similar shoe to that. It is the Zoom Fly Flyknit. And for this year, not only did they change the upper in a way that I thought was more performance oriented, it didn't look quite as nice as some of the SP designs, but in terms of fit and function, I really prefer the Flyknit in the Zoom Fly. But also they changed the midsole and pretty much everything about it. The design stayed very similar, but they switched the foam from Lunar Lawn to React, which for me was a big improvement. And they went from the carbon fiber coated nylon plate or whatever it was in the SP and the Zoom Fly version 1 version to the full carbon fiber plate. And I thought the results were fantastic. That was my favorite long distance shoe other than the Vaporfly because it felt like it was a soft cushion shoe with the React foam that was in there. But that carbon fiber plate gave me a really strong push-off feeling that I appreciated at the ends of longer runs. So that's very easily my number 2 shoe of the year. And if it wasn't for the Vaporfly, that would easily be my number 1 shoe of the year. So those 2 shoes, easy choices for me. 3, 4, and 5 are a little bit more difficult. And I think for what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for number 3 all the way through number 5. So my number 3 shoe for 2018 is the New Balance Beacon. And yes, number 3 shoe for me this year is not a Nike shoe. It's a surprise to me too. And that's because I think for a couple of reasons. The New Balance Beacon in and of itself, it is a great shoe. It is a sleeper hit. If you guys haven't run in this shoe, I really think you should go and try it out, especially now since you can get a whole bunch of them at sale prices, depending on where you look. Some of the designs and the colors, not so great. And for whatever reason, this is a shoe that just doesn't photograph well. It doesn't look good. Even when I try to put it in slow-mo, I just don't think it looks great. But once you get it in your hand, once you put it on your feet, it looks really nice. I really enjoy the look of the shoe. I wish mine weren't blue. I wish I had the black version, but I got mine very cheap on a Black Friday deal. But I'm still love running in the shoe. It can handle a variety of speeds really well. Everything from your recovery run all the way to your tempo runs. I think it can do a really fantastic job. It's remarkably light. And there's something special about that shoe. Once you get up on your toes, it's got a little bit of extra bounce in there, even though it's an EVA foam, and I think it's just EVA. Whatever they're doing with it in the fresh foam for New Balance, it's doing really great. I hope in the future iterations of the shoe that they don't tinker around with it too much because it's really great as is. So it's tough for me to put it at number 3, but I think it really deserves to be there. It's a shoe that I wish that I had received earlier on in the year. I wish I could have run with it in the summer because I would have logged a boatload of miles in that shoe because it also felt pretty good in terms of heat and overall comfort. So that's going to be my number 3 shoe for this year, a surprise. So for number 4 shoe for the year is the Nike Zoom Pegasus 35, and it's a bit of a surprise for me. And if I had been told early on in the year when the Pegasus 35 first came out that it was going to be only my number 4 shoe of the year, I wouldn't have believed it. But that's, I think, where it fits. So the Pegasus 35 had a complete redesign for this year. What they had done with the Pegasus in the past was they would either change the midsole and outsole and leave the upper pretty much untouched, or redesign the upper and leave the midsole and outsole. This year they changed both. So we had a new design up top, we had a new design down below, and it made for one of the most beautiful shoes of 2018 in my opinion. And it was a great everyday trainer. And it's still the shoe that if people come to me and ask me what shoe should they get and they're new to running or they don't really know what type of runner they are, I always recommend the Zoom Pegasus 35 first. Or depending on price and budgetary restrictions, maybe 34, because you can get a lot of those pretty cheap. But now you can get the 35 at really good discounts at the end of 2018. So it's going to be the shoe that I'm recommending to most people. And for most runners, whether they're seasoned veterans or new to running, I'm still going to recommend that they get at least one pair of the Pegasus 35 because it's that versatile and it's going to find a way into your rotation. The Cushlon and the full Zoom Air unit, it just makes for a wonderful combination. For me, running in Pegasus is kind of the feel of running to me. And so whenever I put it on, it's like meeting up with an old friend and it just feels right. And so number 4 for me for the year is the Pegasus 35. Number 5, there's a lot of other options out there and it's really tough for me to do this, but at number 5, I'm going to put the Epic React. And it's tough for me to do that because there's so many other good shoes that are out there from other brands and from within Nike itself. But I'm going to put the Epic React in there because it may be hard to remember, but 2018 has been such a fantastic year that the Epic React was the first Nike running shoe with React foam in it. And that only came out earlier this year. And so that's a shoe that, to me, and it might have been partially because of the looks, I was trying to keep that out of the equation, but it didn't look like a serious running shoe. I was a little bit thrown off by it in terms of the design and a lot of the hype. I put it on and it felt like a really great shoe. I had some of the hotspot problems in my Epic React for a very long time. I gave it a little bit of a break and came back to it, and it definitely mellowed out. I still feel like it fits best in kind of the 8 miles or less category of runs, but for the type of runs that it is best suited for, I really like the Epic React. While the shoe in and of itself might not deserve the number 5 spot, the fact that the launch of the Epic React was then able to lead to other shoes like the Zoom Flyknit that I mentioned earlier, and the Pegasus Turbo, and the Vomero 14, 2 other shoes that didn't quite make the cut, but are also fantastic shoes. The Epic React is kind of the genesis of all those. So because of that, I'm putting the Epic React at number 5 for my list. So those are my list, including 2 honorable mentions. There were some other really great shoes for the year and some that were a little bit disappointing. Let me know in the comments what you think the most disappointing shoe of the year for 2018 was, and let me know what shoe should have been on my list, especially if it's a non-Nike shoe. I'd love to hear about it. And for 2019, I'm definitely gonna be trying to take a look at different brands and branch out even further. You guys have seen me do that a little bit over the past couple of months, but I'm gonna do that even further into 2019. So I'd love to have some hints as to where to start looking next. Before I go for today, I'm going to talk about today's charity runner for the day. Today's charity runner for the day is Jean-Michel. He's going to be participating in the annual Run Across Haiti, which is over 200 miles of running for the charity Work, which is an organization that aims to bring Haitian families out of poverty through meaningful employment. So a very worthy cause and a very important place to be doing that work. I've donated $10 to his cause. That was the minimum donation. And I'll post a link in the description in case you would like to learn more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?